Do you ever have that thing where you see a pattern on a friend, you love it, you go and buy it, you make it, and then you're sad? Hello! If you remember this top or want to know more about this top or this picture where the top was way too low, then this episode is for you. Episode 4 today is all about fit adjustments. I have quite a small frame and I know lots of you out there do, and over the years I have been perfecting how I bring up the V, make the shoulders smaller using several different techniques, and today we are going to fix some of those problems. So if you haven't seen episode 2 and 3, you might want to go and watch them. I'll ping them and link them up here because you might want to see the before you get the after today. So today what we're going to do is deal with some of those fit issues, particularly focusing around V's being too low and shoulders dropping off where they should be, again, which causes neck bands to be too wide, sleeves not to fit properly, and all those general fit issues. We'll also talk about if you need to widen or deepen as well, because it's just the reverse. So first of all, I want to tell you a little secret. This top here from episode 2, I had pins in the back, because without pins in the back, I don't know what had happened. Something had gone wrong at the back, which had made all of the shoulders slip off. So I will ping a picture in now showing the truth. This top and this top are exactly the same bodice pattern. It is the Romy Lantern sleeve Tiana's closet pattern. It's a free pattern and I love it. I probably should have done a small shoulder on here, because if you have a look, it is just past my shoulder apex, should be up here, but I kind of like this more slouchy feel. Just stand up for you so you can see, and it has this gorgeous lantern sleeve. I used this bodice block in episode 2 to make this fabulous bishop sleeve with a lovely cuff. So everything else was the same, but I created my own sleeve to go on. So you would have thought that I didn't have a problem with the bodice, but I think the weight of this fabric here might have been a bit of the problem, and also the type of fabric. So these are things that we've got to watch out. So you might be like, oh no, your lovely top is ruined. It's not, because today we're going to talk about what could I do at the back, because I noticed that as soon as I pulled the back in, it did fix the shoulders and everything around the front. So we will talk about that, but we're also going to very much talk about some super revealing top issues that we need to fix, because I struggled with this for years in mainstream clothing shops, and I just kind of went, well, I either have to wear a vest underneath or I just don't buy them. Well, now I don't have to worry anymore. I set about and I made the Flor, the I Am Flor by I Am Patterns, and I had a suspicion it'd be a bit low, so I did add a centimetre of height already on the pink V at the front. But unfortunately, despite adding that on, it was so low you could see my bra. Now, I don't mind a bit of flesh out, but I don't really want to be walking around showing my bra. And I also don't want to have to put a camisole or a vest top underneath when I wear a top like that, because I want this lovely loose feel that I can pair with trousers, skirts, etc. And that's not wanting an extra layer. So step number 1 was to unpick the sleeves, which meant unpicking the shoulders, which meant unpicking the neckband where those 3 attached. I'm going to cut to me showing you how I do a small shoulder adjustment first, so that if that's all you need, you could do that. Then I'm going to cut to me showing you how I fix that whole top. So, to adjust a shoulder which is clearly too wide for my natural shoulder, I need to bring this in. Now, if you are doing a centimetre or less, you can trim that off, and then using your French curve, you can reshape it into the line. Right, let's just slim this Romy Lantern sleeve shoulder down. So this shoulder is a little wide for me, but not much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off about 0.5 centimetre. So I'm going to get my ruler, my curve ruler, because we want this to replicate this curve, and I'm going to look for roughly where that is, because we've got to get the curve back down and into there. So there we go. So we're just going to go curving in there like that. So that's all we've got to do, just to get that bit off the shoulder. And it's amazing because you lose that on the front and back, and just something that small can make such a difference. Now, if you were finding, someone mentioned to me, this coming up too high underneath your armpit, again, grab your curve, find the kind of curve you're looking for there, sort of panning out a bit there, isn't it? And just drop it down a bit, and you can curve like that. You can curve it round and back in, because you can, again, if it's just a smidge, you can just reshape it. Now, be mindful that in most sleeves there is enough capacity to do that, because you've got the ease, but that's why we can only take a small amount off, because we're not really affecting the sleeve opening. With your tape measure, do it on its top edge to measure that, and then measure your arm piece, because then you can see, and worst case you might have to adjust it, but as long as there's, like with this pattern, there's a bit of ease in it, you know that's not a huge amount to affect it. Now when we do the back, we need to make sure that these two shoulder pieces had this problem. I think it's to do with all these many lines, I didn't cut the correct ones, that these shoulder pieces mix. This is a good opportunity to deal with that. That is pretty out, isn't it? So actually what I'm going to do is come here, and I think I'm going to adjust my neckline to that, because that will help there, and then I'm going to mark that there. Now by doing that, I know that my two pieces will now meet. That is probably right on the cusp of being okay there, but we can get away with it. So that will adjust my back neckline, and it will adjust my armhole. So let's sort that out. So we're going to get the curve. We're just going to curve it and follow back in. Here we go. Overlapping a bit there. Just get that curving back in around there. Now that is a bit more, but I know that this sleeve head has gathering in the top, so I'm going to be okay. And that will just fix, and here at the top we're just going to fix that in there as well. And I think that will just make all of that sit better. Right, this is how we do a small shoulder adjustment when it's more than a centimetre. There are lots of videos out there on this, but I am going to show you very briefly because I promised I would. So the first thing we're going to do is perpendicular here, we're going to draw a line. Because we're going to, and this works for both wide and narrow. So then we are going to go about a third of the way down the armhole. So if we think 1, 2, 3, so they're about a third of the way down, up to the center point of the shoulder. So if I fold that and get my center point, which is there, okay, so I'm going to draw a line here to get between here and here, and then that's going to come to there like that. So what we're going to do, like we do with many of these adjustments, is we're going to snip in, but not all the way to that line there. We want to be able to do this pivoting, and we're going to cut in here as well. Remember, we have got seam allowance things, so we're just going to cut like that. So if we were going to do wide, we would go this way. If we're going to do narrow, we're going over the top. So what we're going to do is come over and do this. Once we've done that, we will then angle this up like this. Now it will obviously rumple a bit, but then we would take this down, and then we will, so if you think we've lost however much we go, so we can go in further, just keep tipping that up like that. So what we're doing is keeping the same shoulder line, but we're losing it there like that. So we kind of angle that out to try and keep that, and we're doing what's called slashing and spreading. So we can just adjust it about like this, and if you do narrow, you go out, and you wide, you go out and you fold under. It does get a bit fussy because I need to cut a little bit further. It doesn't want to let me but you'd go like this for wide. So you would do that. And once you've done that, of course, you need to do it on the back of the pattern, because like I showed you before, we've got to make sure that those pieces meet up. You can't just do the front, you've got to remember to do the back. It is one of those things that I would do it and make a toile before you cut into your most fabulous fabric. So actually just snipping in here to give it a bit of flexibility. So we would be sliding over and then we're trying to push that up so that it opens back out. It's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? You will fill in the gap and you will need to true up the sleeve. So that means once you, let's take that in, get this under here so you can see, get some tape. Right, so let's go, it's quite dramatic, okay, I'm going to go like this and we're going to push up, try and get it, okay, we're going to go like that. All right, whoa, we've lost the piece, it's always tricky, isn't it? We're going to overlap like that, we're going to come right over like this, okay. Let's say that's what we've done. When we talk about truing up we don't want to come back out here, so what we want to do is do this, just to recurve that in, because obviously we've got a little bulge there. You might well need to have a little adjust of your sleeve cap. So you would want to measure this line and see how different it is from your sleeve cap. So if I just cut that out. Okay, so if we compare that to the original piece, slide that over the top, we can see we've lost that much obviously. Now you might think that's not enough for me, so you could do it more, but sometimes slide the whole thing and open it, don't even keep it attached. But you can see that we've had to true up, there we go, look, there we go. Now we're going to cut to me showing you how, when there's multiple issues in a top, the I Am Flora, how I'm going to fix those things, because that's going to take more than just a small shoulder adjustment or raising up the V, because there's too many other things going on. So let's show how we combine those together. So the first thing I've got to do is, as I mentioned, I have unpicked, so you can see I've got the shoulders unpicked, the sleeves unpicked. So we'll get rid of the sleeves for a minute. But we saw in the video that I needed to raise it up. So I'm going to mark with my fabric pen, which I just rolled on the floor. So I just gave the seams a little bit of a press out, the originals. So something I need to think about is the fact that if I cut to here, it won't be stitched to here. So actually it will have taken up that much, which will be much better on the front. So we've got to think about the fact that this is going to take up this much here. So we are going to get quite close to the bust dart. So might just, worst case, I'll have to unpick the bust dart. So ruler has out, and I've also put my cutting board on top of my ironing board, because it was just a bit too bouncy. So ruler, where are you? Now, as I say, if you have your preference of how you do it, that's cool. But at the moment, this top is no good, and I need to resolve this. So here we go. I'm going to cut through just above that line, because I've got to remember I've got my seam allowance to go in. Right, so now we have our new shoulder position, but that is going to significantly mess up our sleeve. So I'm going to get the pattern piece of this. So let's do this front one first. I need to fold the back out of the way. So I'm just going to lay this over the top now with my new height here. Bring that round, so we will expect, yep, it's going to be tricky because we're going to bring the fabric round without stretching it. So that is about how much we took off the top, so we would expect that. Right, let's do the back. Probably could have done with unpicking the sides a little bit further. Okay, because that's what's pulling it, is the attachment to the front. Back piece. Back. Again, you won't have the problem I'm having with a tripod in the way. So I'm now going to trim these. Being careful not to trim the fabric behind. I've got to watch out. You can see my scrabby cutting out from last go round now, can't you? So what this should do is bring this top up about this much, which hopefully will be enough. Now what we're going to lose when we cut that is that much to go. So we'll unpack that one and we can lose a bit from either side, probably yes, because we've lost it off both sides, so we lose a bit from either side of the facing. Look, I even finished all the facings and everything on this one, and then I will stitch the sleeves back in, and you'll have to wait and see how it turns out. So now that we've dealt with the small shoulder adjustments, which can be, as you've seen, just a very minor tweak or a slightly bigger step, let's think about how we can adjust a V. So I'm going to use the Vista top, which has featured a lot over this series. It's by Twig and Tail, and I'm going to use the Vista top and show you how I raise up the V. So let's go and fix a 2 deep V. Okay, so for this part of the episode, we're going to look at how to raise the V. There are several ways to do this. This is the Twig and Tail Vista top. You can see here how I have slimmed the shoulder down and then curved it round. So this is now the right width for me. But this V is a little too plunging for me. So there are several ways you can do this. One is you could put a smidge of paper behind there, and you could draw the line up and then swoop it in. So if you've only got like a couple of millimeters, because all it takes is a little something and suddenly it becomes the right height. So you could do that and slope it in and tape that on and cut that out. So that's one way you could do it. Or I'll show you my little lazy way I do it. Yes. You might say it's cunning, others might say it's lazy. We will talk about how that affects the facing in a minute, but let me just get my fabric in. So when I cut out the top, what I do is I cut everything else out, and when I get to here, so I'll have cut out the shoulder, I'll have cut out the arm, I'll have started cutting down here, and then what I do is, having cut everything else out, keeping everything in line, I slide that up just a smidge so that as I come down and I come up, it just adjusts it a bit. Now, I promise you, it seems like a budget way to do it, but all it does is just slim it a smidge at the top, and it just shifts everything up. So you get the same lovely shape, but you just bring it up. It is the equivalent of what I've just shown you on the bit of paper, but honestly, I do that. Now, if you're really feeling full on about it, you could take the bit off the shoulders so that you get the increase here, and then reshape your arm cycle down this amount. So shift it down and reshape it, or cut it out and move it down. So you could cut that portion out and shift it down. Let me show you the facing piece. So of course it means I will have shortened the facing piece that goes on. So here it is. This is the front neck facing. This is the front neck facing. So of course this piece here matches this length here. So look, that matches perfectly in there. So if I've lost a bit off the top, I just lose it off like that. I know it might seem like a budget and what's it, and if you'd rather do it with a bit of paper underneath, please do, but just take off the top, the bit you don't need. I hope you're ready for the big reveals. You're going to get before and after of both of those tops and how I've resolved them. But stick around because I've got another problem that we need to talk about. Okay, so here is the fixed Flora. So I have a shoulder that is now much more on my apex. I have not lost any of my arm cycle. We can see the bust dye is exactly where it should be. And we can't see my bra. Now, honestly, I do think it needs a little bit more out here. So I've taken it off the shoulders. I do think it could do, but I just got to do it like here. So it will be like, you know, if you know how to do a full seat adjustment where you splash and tilt it, slash and tilt it. You do that here. So I'm going to slash and overlap there, but then it go out to the right size there. It's like a reverse of a full bust, I think. I think that will finally, and I think I might wear it. I think I might have to sassy around the house in it for a bit. I haven't finished the sleeves yet or anything, but I wanted to just get the majority of it done just to show you. So I'm going to stand here so that we can have the after here and the before there. Just so we can compare the two. It's been a journey, this one. I'm going to write some stuff on the pattern, and that somebody said to me they struggle with square necks. Sometimes it's taking it here, sometimes it's taking it here. Now this would be tricky to do that, so you might need to think about taking it here. So I think in a lot of square necks, coming out of here could help people. But when you are narrow in this area, there is lots of options. So on a square neck, you might take a whole piece out the front. And then we have to ask ourselves the question, is it worth it? But I think this is a really unusual pattern. So I think it is worth it, because I think when I have it right, I think I'm going to really love it. This is so close now. I am going to find a way to fix this, don't you worry. So, do you ever have that thing where you see a pattern on a friend, you love it, you go and buy it, you make it, and then you're sad? Well, this has happened to me very recently. The gorgeous Jess of So What If I Sews made a fabulous yellow serene blouse, or top or shirt, one of the three, for her So Yellow for Endo make. And I got to see it in person when we had the So Yellow for Endo party. And it was truly glorious. It fitted Jess beautifully and I was jealous. So I needed to make that pattern. So off I trotted and I purchased the pattern, which, by the way, if you purchase during the month of April, there is a deal on from Size Me Sewing. I'll pop that here as part of the Sew April blouse. So I made it, and I made it in a fabric I'd been keeping for a while to make into a lovely white sort of floaty blouse. Well, here's what it looked like when I put it on. I am sad because the bust darts are not anywhere near where they should be on me, and Jess and I don't have a hugely different frame type at the top, so I was surprised. I am sad because it just doesn't feel like I wanted it to. So that is going to be my next fix it. So leave me your comments. What do you think I should fix on it? What do you think might need resolving? And have you ever experienced that problem? Because in episode 5, I am going to show you and take you along with me. I don't know how it's going to go yet. I don't know if it's going to work, but I cannot leave it as it is. Right, now I thought this one was going to be solved. I have raised it up so it is better, but now I don't think I like this fabric in here. It is a different weight to this, which means I would like it to flow like that, and it doesn't. It sticks out stiffly. So tell me, should I change this bit of fabric? I really wanted like a polka dot to pick out these polka dots. It's just not working. I tried a black and white polka dot before, but I think it needs to be flowy. So I'm probably going to unpick that entire triangle and probably still put a little bit in here, because although this is better, I'm not a big fan. I don't know actually now. I don't know. I get really fussy. So you might think, how did she do that? I literally ran a seam all the way up here, because actually the front and back is one continuous piece. So I turn it inside out. It's not finished yet. I unpicked the facing at the point where I did it as well, so that's got to be fixed, but I wanted to test the theory of would that help. So I can now fold that piece on the pattern to lose a bit there. I think I need to lengthen slightly at the bottom or put some kind of band on. I might try putting a jersey band on the bottom. This is a pattern that when I get it right, I know I'm going to love it. And these are the things that normally are behind the scenes. By episode 7 of the big reveal, this will be finished. Now, what do you think of the fixes? Tell me, is it better? Do you like it more? Should I have done something else to it? And also, what do you think of fixing that? And will you forgive me for cheating and pinning it when I did episode 2?